Welcome to NarrativeNook where enchanted stories come to life. If you enjoy our stories, please subscribe, like and share to support our channel. Enjoy listening.
A gaggle of girls surrounded Edith, showering her with compliments. Edith, all smiles, returned a few kind words before making her exit. As the girls prepared to snap some photos for Facebook, Christine chimed in, "There's a lovely corner of Serena's garden filled with exquisite flowers and plants. Plus, there's a swing and some bespoke garden furniture. Should we take our pictures there instead?" The idea was obviously appealing, promising an air of elegance and class. Sounds good. The girls, clutching their food and drinks, began to head to the designated area when they spotted Romeo and Arabella sitting together, engaged in a seemingly intimate conversation. Who's that girl? And what is she doing in Serena's garden? Isn't Romeo engaged to Serena? Why is he chatting with another girl in the Collins family's garden? What's happening? Can someone explain this to me? At that moment, Sylvia, who had been quietly observing, let out a sigh. Oh, Romeo, why the drama? Serena's taking a nap. She can't see any of this. Sylvia, do you know something? Your tone suggests there's more to the story. Spill it, Sylvia. What's going on with Romeo and Serena? Why the silence? Aren't we friends? Sylvia, we've been through thick and thin together. You're not keeping secrets from us, are you? Cornered by the group's pleas, Sylvia finally spilled the beans. What? So Romeo's cozying up with this girl in the Collins family's garden to make Serena jealous and win her back? That's incredibly romantic. The girls couldn't help but be moved. Where could they find such a man? He was young, handsome, affluent, and yet so dedicated in love. Sure, don't say I told you. Serena will be mad if she finds out I've been talking. She's napping right now, so she can't see Romeo's efforts. Maybe I should record a video and send it to her. Absolutely, she needs to see this. Who in their right mind would reject the wealthiest bachelor for Martin, who's clearly inferior in every way? Sylvia, play dumb about knowing the situation. She only confided in you. Try to talk some sense into her. Sylvia nodded in agreement, surreptitiously recorded a video on her phone and sent it to Serena before turning back to the others. Is it good? Romeo asked Arabella, eyeing the juice in her hand. Arabella saw right through him. He just wanted to share her drink, didn't he? She took a sip before leisurely responding, "It's not good. Don't bother trying it. I'm even more curious to taste how bad it is now." Seeing that he was insistent, Arabella handed him the juice. Romeo took a satisfying gulp. Anything that passes through your hands, no matter how bad, becomes sweet. Arabella picked up a pastry, and Romeo expressed interest in trying it. This time, she brought it directly to his lips. This girl is way too forward. How dare she flirt so openly with Serena's fiancé, on Serena's property? How audacious. She must be under the illusion that Romeo is genuinely interested in her. Romeo is merely using her to provoke Serena, hoping to win her back. This girl can't possibly believe she has some extraordinary allure, can she? Compared to Serena, this girl has nothing going for her but her slightly above-average looks. Exactly. Could use another. Romeo eyed Arabella's juice in her hand, feeling a bit parched. Arabella glanced towards the juice in front of him. Don't you have one? Yours tastes better. Here you go then. Arabella pushed her juice towards Romeo and picked a new one for herself. Watching his plans fall through, Romeo felt a wave of disappointment. A smug smile played on Arabella's lips as she watched him. Their interaction was particularly irritating to the girls around, who found them unnerving. After a while, Romeo got up to wash his hands in the main building. He had been eating pastries and his hands were a bit greasy. Arabella waited in the garden, leisurely sipping her juice and admiring the garden view. She looks so smug. It's infuriating. Even if Serena could tolerate it, I can't. She acts as if she owns the place. What is she doing now? Suddenly, Arabella tore open a small packet and poured the powder inside into Romeo's cup. Did she just tamper with Romeo's drink? How dare she? What is she trying to do? The girls rushed over, abandoning their tea and snacks, and chastised, "What are you doing?" Arabella looked at the people who had suddenly appeared before her, confused. "Can I help you? You dare to ask us if something's wrong. What did you put into Romeo's drink? What are you trying to do? You conniving woman. You've already taken so much advantage, and still want more, delusional. Look at yourself. We know you're eager to be Romeo's wife, but there's no need to be this desperate. To use such low tactics in Serena's house to win over Romeo? Where's your dignity?" From a distance, Romeo, who had just washed his hands, saw a message from Arabella telling him to stay away. Arabella lazily asked the flustered rich heiresses before her, "Are you Serena's friends?" "Yes. We are Serena's best friends." The girls stood indignantly in front of Arabella, as if to fight for justice for Serena. Edith heard the commotion and was about to go check it out when Romeo signaled her not to. He wanted to hear what these girls were up to. "You haven't explained what you put in Romeo's drink. If Romeo knew about your ambitions, he wouldn't hesitate to kick you to the curb." "That's right, Romeo despises girls like you who are manipulative. Unlike Serena, who's so pure and noble. Coffee creamer, that's all." Arabella glanced at the unopened packets on the table. If I really had spiked his drink, he would be thrilled. With that, she cast a sly glance at the man in the distance. Romeo smirked. This girl knew him well. But to the girls, Arabella's smile was shameless and audacious. "How can you say such a thing? All right, even if you didn't spike his coffee, don't get too comfortable. The only reason you're with Romeo is because Serena let you. Don't think you're all that, keep your arrogance in check, and get off your high horse." At those words, Arabella's mind was flooded with questions. Was she arrogant? Did she think too highly of herself? Hadn't she been keeping a low profile? She gave Romeo up for me? Arabella asked with a hint of amusement as she looked at the young ladies in front of her. "Is that what she told you?" "She didn't say anything. Stop trying to trick us into talking." The young ladies stood together in silent protest, choosing not to give Arabella any information. Arabella leaned back, exuding an air of confidence. "Well, you might be mistaken. Even without me, Romeo wouldn't be with her." "You're talking nonsense." Sylvia was the first to retaliate. "Nonsense?" Arabella raised her eyebrow. "Do you have any proof?" "Sylvia, at this point, just tell her what Serena told you verbatim. Let this shameless woman see that we've known all along, and stop putting on an act for us. Serena asked you to keep it a secret, so let me say it. It won't be your problem." "Yes, let Antonia say it." Antonia turned to Arabella, and without hesitation, revealed the truth. Martin relentlessly pursued Serena, and with his sincerity, won her over. That's why Serena gave up Romeo and chose Martin. Is that not true? They all looked at Arabella with an air of confidence, sure of their victory. But to their surprise, Arabella laughed. "Is that what Serena told you? Who would give up a billionaire to be with another man? Would any of you?" Even though they all agreed that they wouldn't. But Serena said, the more popular Romeo becomes, the more scrutinized the woman by his side becomes. She doesn't want to live her life behind a perfect mask. With Martin, she can be herself. Do you believe that? Arabella smirked at them, feeling a sudden wave of sympathy for them being played by Serena. Serena insisted on breaking up, threatening Romeo with a lifetime of no contact. So Romeo, who loves her but also has his pride, thought Serena and Martin were moving too fast. That's why he reluctantly sought you out, parading you around in public. In reality, he wanted to use you to make Serena jealous. To show her that he could have any woman he wanted at any time. That's why the usually low-key Romeo made such a high-profile appearance with you at Macmillan Corporation. He wanted to show Serena. Don't think that you have any charm that caught Romeo's eye. Compared to Serena, you're miles behind. Arabella didn't expect Serena to spin such a tale behind her back, and she laughed even harder. What are you laughing at? The young ladies felt a sudden loss of confidence. Arabella's laughter made them feel like fools. Even though Romeo knew that the assistant director of procurement is Sylvia's mother, and Sylvia is Serena's good friend, he still deliberately brought you to Macmillan Corporation. This shows that he still loves Serena, and you're just a substitute. If it wasn't for Serena's threat of never seeing him again, Romeo wouldn't have let go of her hand and settled for you. Arabella's laughter grew even louder. Why don't you ask why I'm in this garden? Yeah, why are you here? Romeo must have brought you here to provoke Serena, knowing well that the Macmillan family and the Collins family are on good terms. Hence, the Collins household staff wouldn't dare to stop Romeo, let alone you. And to think you had the audacity to come in, enjoying the tea and cupcakes served by the Collins servants, while flirting with Serena's fiancé. Shameless. You have no decency. This is my home and Romeo is my fiancé. Arabella lifted her lazy gaze. Aren't you supposed to be Serena's best friend? Didn't she tell you? On hearing this, those rich girls were stunned for a moment, before bursting into laughter. This is your home? You even have the nerve to tell such a lie? I've seen shameless people before, but never someone as brazen as you. Your audacity is thicker than the walls of this mansion. It's a well-known fact that the Collins family and the Macmillan family are betrothed. How dare you claim that Romeo is your fiancé? Are you ignoring the fact that these two families are engaged? The engagement still stands. Suddenly, a magnetic voice resonated from a distance. Those ladies turned to see Serena's brother, Hans Collins. There he was, dignified and composed, striding towards them. Hans, it's good that you're here. Someone is blatantly claiming this as her home. Come and make a judgment. She even says that Romeo is her fiancé. I've seen shameless people, but never someone this brazen. You should have her thrown out. No, she deserves to be taught a lesson to understand the consequences of lying. Those ladies were confident that with Hans' arrival, Arabella's end was near. They were eager to see her humiliated. But to their surprise, the usually cold and stern Hans suddenly called out warmly, Bella. Before they could react, they heard Arabella obediently respond, Hans, what brings you here? I heard there was some trouble at home, so I came to check. Those ladies were dumbfounded, completely clueless about the situation. Why was Arabella calling Hans so intimately? And why was Hans being so gentle with her? What were you saying about my sister just now? As Hans looked at the girls, his gaze was as cold and indifferent as ever. The girls were speechless, and in a daze they stuttered, she is? My sister, Arabella Collins, my real sister. On hearing Arabella's surname, coupled with Hans' final words, the girls were stunned. How could this girl possibly be Hans' biological sister? Didn't the Collins family only have one daughter, Serena? When did they have another daughter? But Hans, with his status and reputation, couldn't possibly lie. If what he said was true, then Serena must be aware of this girl's existence. But Serena had never mentioned this girl at all. It was as if she was a stranger. What on earth was going on? Sylvia, did Serena ever mention anything to you? Hans, if this girl is your sister, then she must be Serena's sister. Hans's words left the ladies frozen in place once again. Sylvia asked with disbelief, does Serena know about her? Yes. Hans's firm reply shattered their last hope. They live in the same house, constantly in each other's company. But why Serena didn't say that? Sylvia's voice trailed off to a whisper. The other ladies were equally shocked. They couldn't believe the truth they were just told. There was nothing more convincing than hearing the truth from a member of the Collins family. Bella had been lost for 18 years and only found her way back home 6 months ago. For some reasons, we haven't publicly revealed her identity yet. The ladies was taken aback by this revelation, stunned by the unexpected twist. Although Serena is not a blood relative of the Collins family, we have treated her like our own for the past 18 years. She's like family to us. So, on the day Bella returned, with Bella's consent, Serena was allowed to stay. They consider each other as sisters. Arabella had been born first on their shared birthday, so she was technically the older sister, while Serena was the younger one. But regardless of their birth order, Arabella was the rightful heiress of the Collins family. It was only natural that she was the older sister. The ladies all looked at each other with shock and disbelief. "Hans, are you telling the truth? Serena isn't the real heiress of the Collins family. So, this girl standing in front of us is the heiress." But Serena never mentioned anything about this. She only said. Said what? Though Hans had heard most of the conversation earlier, he wanted to hear it again from them. Sylvia, looking deflated, finally spoke. "So, Arabella is the true heiress. She's the one Romeo is engaged to, not Serena. If Serena knew this all along, why did she claim that she was the one who rejected Romeo?" The ladies couldn't believe that Serena could tell such a big lie. Was it all for her vanity? She wasn't like this before. She was so innocent and kind-hearted. How could she lie to us? "I still can't believe it." She said being with Romeo would place her under a microscope, and she didn't want to live her life like that. She said Arabella was just a temporary flame that Romeo found to provoke her, to make her change her mind. "It's all fake. Serena lied to me. She lied to all of us." Romeo had known that Hans was home. He had been watching as the girls confronted Arabella. Seeing how things had turned out, Romeo walked over to Arabella, his arm around her slim waist. "There was never any romantic relationship between Serena and me. Before Bella returned, I rarely interacted with her. Even if Bella hadn't come back, I would never date Serena." Nothing could be more shocking than hearing Romeo himself debunk the rumors. So, Serena's claim that Romeo was infatuated with her and unwilling to break up was all a lie. So, she didn't threaten to cut off all contact with you if you didn't break up with her? Sylvia, clinging onto the last thread of hope, asked, "Did she? We were never in a relationship, so how could we break up?" With this confirmation, the ladies felt their spirits deflate. They couldn't believe that Serena was capable of such deceit. They had known each other for so many years and considered each other as sisters. But Serena had lied to them. Hans's words left the ladies frozen in place once again. Sylvia asked with disbelief, "Does Serena know about her?" "Yes." Hans's firm reply shattered their last hope. They live in the same house, constantly in each other's company. But why Serena didn't say that? Sylvia's voice trailed off to a whisper. The other ladies were equally shocked. They couldn't believe the truth they were just told. There was nothing more convincing than hearing the truth from a member of the Collins family. Bella had been lost for 18 years and only found her way back home 6 months ago. For some reasons, we haven't publicly revealed her identity yet. The ladies was taken aback by this revelation, stunned by the unexpected twist. Although Serena is not a blood relative of the Collins family, we have treated her like our own for the past 18 years. She's like family to us. So, on the day Bella returned, with Bella's consent, Serena was allowed to stay. They consider each other as sisters. Arabella had been born first on their shared birthday, so she was technically the older sister, while Serena was the younger one. But regardless of their birth order, Arabella was the rightful heiress of the Collins family. It was only natural that she was the older sister. The ladies all looked at each other with shock and disbelief. "Hans, are you telling the truth? Serena isn't the real heiress of the Collins family. So, this girl standing in front of us is the heiress." But Serena never mentioned anything about this. She only said. Said what? Though Hans had heard most of the conversation earlier, he wanted to hear it again from them. Sylvia, looking deflated, finally spoke. "So, Arabella is the true heiress. She's the one Romeo is engaged to, not Serena. If Serena knew this all along, why did she claim that she was the one who rejected Romeo?" The ladies couldn't believe that Serena could tell such a big lie. Was it all for her vanity? She wasn't like this before. She was so innocent and kind-hearted. How could she lie to us? "I still can't believe it." She said being with Romeo would place her under a microscope, and she didn't want to live her life like that. She said Arabella was just a temporary flame that Romeo found to provoke her, to make her change her mind. "It's all fake. Serena lied to me." She lied to all of us. Romeo had known that Hans was home. He had been watching as the girls confronted Arabella. Seeing how things had turned out, Romeo walked over to Arabella, his arm around her slim waist. There was never any romantic relationship between Serena and me. Before Bella returned, I rarely interacted with her. Even if Bella hadn't come back, I would never date Serena. Nothing could be more shocking than hearing Romeo himself debunk the rumors. So, Serena's claim that Romeo was infatuated with her and unwilling to break up was all a lie. So, she didn't threaten to cut off all contact with you if you didn't break up with her. Sylvia, clinging onto the last thread of hope, asked, did she? We were never in a relationship, so how could we break up? With this confirmation, the ladies felt their spirits deflate. They couldn't believe that Serena was capable of such deceit. They had known each other for so many years and considered each other as sisters. But Serena had lied to them. When Serena woke up, the first thing she saw was a video message from Sylvia, filmed in her own backyard. In the video, Romeo and Arabella were acting cozy, looking every bit the infatuated couple. Serena's mind reeled. Why was Sylvia at her house? Why was Arabella home on a day she normally wasn't? And why on earth was Romeo there? After sending the video, Sylvia added a note. Serena, you were napping and didn't see how deeply Romeo cares for you. He deliberately brought this girl to your garden, showing off their closeness to provoke you, hoping to win you back. Maybe you should reconsider returning to him. Seeing him like this, I can't help but feel bad for him. This was a disaster. If Sylvia found out Arabella was actually the heiress of the house, and Romeo was Arabella's fiancé, then Serena's true identity as the adopted daughter would be revealed. In her rush to get out of bed, tangled in the duvet, Serena fell and banged her knee hard on the floor. Ignoring the pain, she raced to the garden. Not just Sylvia, but Antonia, Melissa, Una, Christine, they were all there. Standing face to face with them were Romeo, Arabella, and Hans, looking as though they were in a standoff. Serena's heart dropped. Did her best friends know her real identity? Why was Hans there too? Had Arabella called him? Serena's mind went blank. Just then, Edith came up to her and said, Serena, Hans would like to see you. Only when she looked around, did she notice everyone's eyes on her, their expressions complex. Serena felt weak, unsure of how she would get through this. The last time she lied to her friend Delia, saying that Arabella had charmed Kenneth and Louisa with her looks and good grades, becoming their goddaughter and a part of the family. But Chassel's girlfriend Myrna had called her out on it. That day, Myrna not only called Chassel, but also tricked her into going to Westerly College, saying Chassel wanted to have lunch with her. When she got there in the sweltering heat, there were Delia and her friends, and Myrna. She faked fainting on the spot. But Chassel and Myrna saw through her, even suggesting Arabella should examine her. Eventually, the truth came out, and Delia and her friends stopped talking to her. Should she fake fainting again this time? But Hans, being as astute as he was, would undoubtedly see through her. What should she do? What should she do? Out of all her brothers, Hans was the hardest to deal with. Serena, Hans, and Mr. Macmillan are aware of everything. It's best if you just confess and stop fighting it. Edith's kindly advice only served to make Serena clench her fists. Even a servant dared to trample over her now? Serena, come here. From a distance, Hans called out to her, his expression cold. Caught between a rock and a hard place, Serena knew her tricks wouldn't work anymore. So she mustered up the courage and walked over. Why did you lie? Sylvia was the first to confront her as she approached. Her eyes were tear-streaked, and she questioned angrily, I've always considered you my best friend, sharing all my secrets with you. In my heart, you've always been a pure and innocent girl. Why have you changed so much? Antonia expressed her disappointment as well. We know everything now, Serena. You've completely changed. You're unrecognizable to us now. Melissa also asked, evidently disappointed, when did you start to change? How did we not notice? It was not your fault that you were switched at birth, Una began. Hans still treats you like a sister, and you are still the lady of this house. Your living standards and privileges have remained the same as before. There was no need for these lies. Yes, we used to envy your status, envying the limited edition designer clothes in your closet, and how everything revolved around you like stars around the moon. But we were not just after the benefits you could offer. We wouldn't stop being friends just because you're not a Collins by blood. Christine added. Although they were indeed hoping to benefit from Serena today, some limited edition bags and shoes were hard to come by with their connections. But for Serena, she had too many, more than she could ever wear or use. Serena had often given them older models with tags still attached. Those were limited editions, and they were more than happy to accept. To them, it was a sharing between best friends. They too had given Serena branded items, even though they weren't as expensive as what Serena gave them. Overall, even if Serena no longer had the ability to send them anything in the future, their years of friendship were real. Otherwise, they wouldn't have stepped in for her earlier, wanting to put Arabella in her place. I'm sorry. Suddenly, Serena bowed deeply to them. When she raised her face, tears were already at the corners of her eyes. Elle actually guessed that you knew everything when I saw you standing here from afar. To be honest, I feel relieved now. I'm glad I don't have to lie anymore. As Serena said this, she smiled sadly, tears streaming down her face. You may not understand how insecure, uneasy, and frightened I felt when someone suddenly appeared who could potentially take away everything I had. Before Serena could finish, Sylvia cried out, "But what you enjoyed was her life. You should give it back." The other girls nodded in agreement. Arabella didn't ask you to return it. She let you continue to enjoy this life. Shouldn't you be grateful? Instead, you secretly slandered her. Honestly, Serena, I'm very disappointed in you. We shouldn't be friends anymore. Don't contact me. Sylvia turned to leave, but suddenly something seemed to occur to her. She stopped, looking back at Serena. Serena thought she had changed her mind. But the next second, her gaze moved to Arabella, and she walked over to her, bowing respectfully. I'm sorry. I blamed you without knowing the whole truth. I even insulted you. I was wrong. The other girls also apologized to Arabella one after another. Looks like you've been led astray too, huh? Never mind. Arabella didn't hold a grudge against them. Instead, she felt sorry for Serena. To have so many friends who truly cared for her, yet to not appreciate them. Instead, Serena treated them as playthings, to be manipulated and discarded. Serena's disregard for their affection was as if she was stomping all over their hearts. Seeing their genuine regret, Romeo nodded in approval, choosing not to hold it against them. Serena's face still bore the tracks of her tears, never expecting herself to end up so alone. Back in Westerly College, her lies had been exposed and her friends, Delia and Maggie, had all turned away. Before that, she had deceived her best friend, Brooklyn. Including today, 5 more of her girlfriends had left her, cutting all ties. She was left without a single good friend now. Apologize to Bella, Hans suddenly demanded coldly. Hans. Serena's tears started rolling down her cheeks. In the past, Hans would never have asked her to apologize to anyone. No need, Arabella interrupted Serena's apology. I don't think you're genuinely remorseful. She turned to Romeo. Let's go. I'll walk you out. Serena watched in disbelief as Arabella turned her back and left. Since when did this little minx dare to show her up in front of everyone? Was she being arrogant because she was in the right and had Hans backing her up? Hans, listen to me. Serena tried to make excuses through her tears. Serena. Hans's voice was laced with disappointment. Until you understand what you've done, you won't need to join us for dinner tonight. Hans. Serena's eyes widened in shock and surprise. Hans had never acted like this before. Was he really going to punish her by making her go hungry over such a trivial thing? What kind of error was this, to still have such punishments? Hans, listen to me. You want to save face, but doesn't Bella need to? Hans looked at her coldly, reassessing her with a stranger's gaze. You've smeared her name in front of her friends. I remember warning you about this, but you've repeated your mistakes. You won't need your allowance for this month. Hans. I really realize my mistakes now. Everyone around me knows about her status now. I've been punished too, I don't have a single friend left." Serena cried, suddenly feeling very pitiful. "You've brought this onto yourself." At that moment, Hans's phone rang. It was a call from the head of the luxury brand VO Fashion, Mr. Dwight. Hans answered, greeting him first. The other party mentioned that they had released a dozen new designs and asked if they could deliver them today. Hans replied, "No need, from today onwards, don't send over any items that fit Serena's size. It's not an issue with the designs, we just don't need them for now. I'll send you another person's measurements later. For future seasons, please send the new designs to Reflections Villa, according to her size. We'll schedule a time later." "Alright, goodbye." Serena was stuck in disbelief. VO Fashion was a brand that ran neck and neck with Louis Vuitton and Chanel. Their clothes were designed for the daughters of the upper crust, enhancing both elegance and figure. Their clothes were never sold in stores, but directly delivered to the homes of the wealthy, for their personal selection. Ordinary heiresses had no access to their clothes. It was only through Hans' intervention that VO Fashion made an exception. They would send their new collection to her every season, and only after her selection would they deliver to the rest of the upper crust. This privilege had once made her the talk of the town, the envied among heiresses. But now, Hans had taken away her pride and joy, and was planning to give it to Arabella. "Hans, listen to me." Serena was genuinely panicked this time. Not only was her privilege gone, her allowance cancelled, she was also told to confine herself to her room for reflection. But before she could finish speaking, Hans' phone rang again. After answering, he glanced at Serena. "I have to return to the office now. We'll talk about it later tonight." Serena felt a pang in her heart. She had a bad feeling something else was coming her way. "Edith, take her to her room for reflection." Hans had urgent matters to attend to, so he left immediately after giving his orders. His words, however, caused Serena's heart to sink even further. "Serena, let's go." Serena's tears started to fall. Hans was treating her like a prisoner, ordering a servant to guard her. "Don't get too cocky." Serena shouted at Edith before storming off to her room. Edith was left bewildered. Serena really had issues that couldn't be solved. After returning to her room, Serena threw herself on the bed and cried her heart out. She still remembered the summer when Hans first came back home. She had made apple crabs and pear birds, and turned strawberries into Santas for him. Back then, the first thing Hans noticed wasn't the fruit but her injured fingers. He had not only ordered the servant to bring the first aid kit, but also showed genuine concern. He didn't even criticize her for the ugly fruit platter. Instead, he told her not to bother herself with such matters in the future. When she won a piano competition, he even asked her what reward she wanted. Hans was so nice back then. He treated her like a beloved sister even when Arabella first came home. When did things start to change? Was it when Arabella shined in a design competition, which made Hans, one of the judges, see her in a new light? It must have been, otherwise, why would Hans give Arabella a perfect score? Then it was when Hans drove Arabella home after the competition and let her sit in the passenger seat. That must have been when he started to treat Arabella differently. Because not just her, even Chaucel, Clark, Sean, David, none of them had ever sat in Hans's passenger seat. Arabella was the first exception. But all these were trivial. Serena wiped her tears, remembering when Hans first came home. On the surface, he gave Arabella a 4-leaf clover necklace, but secretly, he gave her a black, gold-edged card. Hans also mentioned that when Bella spent all the money, he would wire more into the account, encouraging Arabella to shop without any financial worries. He even extended the offer to include all the other subsidiaries under Collins Fashion. If Arabella had an eye for any of them, Hans would gladly gift them all to her. Furthermore, wherever Arabella wished to visit or whatever she dreamed of doing, Hans promised to accompany her all the way. It was since then, wasn't it? Hans started to change. Because that day when she asked Hans to go shopping with her, he initially said he was busy. But moments later, he reassured Arabella with these promises. A 4-leaf clover necklace was something she had never received in her life. Yet, Arabella not only received this precious necklace but also 17 other invaluable gifts from Hans. He justified this by stating that he missed out on Arabella's life for the past 18 years, so he wished to make up for it with those gifts. But he would doubly compensate the missing companionship in the days to come. Was it from that time that Hans began to change? She remembered once when Hans bought Arabella an entire set of limited edition lipsticks, claiming that Arabella could use them for work. When she playfully accused Hans of favoritism, he simply brushed her off, saying she didn't need them. It was clear she could have used them for attending parties or performing on stage. But Hans was blatantly partial. There were countless instances like this. In the past, she was naive, never questioning. Now, when she looked back, each incident felt like an arrow piercing through her heart. How had she not noticed? Noticed how Hans had changed. He had become biased, indifferent, and unsympathetic. A long time ago, when their family visited their grandparents in the hospital, Hans casually draped his arm around Arabella's shoulders and started a conversation with her. When she reached out to hold Hans' hand, he asked her to let go. The difference in treatment was indeed stark. Moreover, in the hospital, Hans told Arabella that she could focus on her college studies while the fashion company's affairs would be handled by Dean. Even if Arabella was not working, her monthly salary would be paid in full. At that time, half-jokingly, she expressed her envy, wondering when she would be able to manage the company like her sister. But Hans only remarked that she was too pampered from a young age to handle company affairs. Her parents echoed the same sentiments, noting her lack of management experience due to her sheltered upbringing. They encouraged her to focus on her studies and worry about the future later.
Listening. If you have enjoyed this story, please like and share so others can see it too. Also hit the subscription button and notification bell so you can be notified on our next release. Thank you for your support. God bless you.